Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fort Worth, Texas. It's so great to be with you here today, and I thank you for choosing to be with us here this week. It's going to be a bang-up week. I'm very confident of that. I can already feel the energy from last night's reception right here in this room, and certainly this morning at breakfast as well. So I'm looking forward to a great week. Our conference theme this year is Connected Energy. And that's exactly what we're here to do. We're here to connect as an industry and to grow our energy for the coming year. And we're happy to be back here in the Fort Worth area. It's such an exciting hub for our energy and our transportation industries. And this week, we're really going to take advantage of that right here. You're going to hear from major national companies that are headquartered here. Companies like BNSF Railways, American Airlines, the Southwest Airlines, international rendering companies, and maybe another little company that you may have heard of, PepsiCo. We've held our conference here several times, formerly known as the National Biodiesel Conference and Expo. But this is the first time that we've had speakers joining us from these very prominent companies. So you might ask why? Why this time? I think it's a direct reflection of how much our industry has grown and the recognition of the critical roles that our fuels are playing in their drive towards net zero. Now, we have expanded our tent, yes, to include renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel. But I still am not sure that that would guarantee that any of these companies would have come to this conference. What has changed, though, is that they are now committed to decarbonization like never before. And they know that they can't wait for nascent or future technologies to come along if they are going to meet their own aggressive decarbonization goals. They are looking for solutions now, and especially in our heavy-duty applications. And here we are, all grown up and ready for prime time. And we're ready to assist them in their journey. And as our tagline says, better, cleaner, now. So this year marks our 20th anniversary of this conference. It's kind of hard to believe. But our first conference took place in 2004 in Palm Springs, California. Now, at that time, biodiesel was still in its very early stages. But we still had about 600 people show up for that very first conference. And many of those same people are here with us today. So if you are one of them, you have our deep appreciation for your history, your institutional knowledge, and most of all, though, your lifelong commitment to leaving this world better than you found it through renewable energy. That first year, our conference kicked off on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, I don't mind telling you now, 20 years later, that was an accident. So what did we do when we figured it out? We decided we would host a Super Bowl party for our opening reception and just act like we intended to do it that way all along. And guess what? Everybody loved it. So we actually followed that same pattern for the next several years. And speaking of the Super Bowl, how about them Chiefs? 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, and I'm being from Missouri, I can't wait for the game this coming Sunday. And anymore, it seems like Super Bowl Sunday has almost become a national holiday. But you know what? If you're not into the game, a lot of people just watch it for the commercials. Or we're finding out nowadays, maybe they're watching it to see if Taylor Swift is going to be in the audience. But seriously, some of those commercials over the years have really been truly remarkable and groundbreaking. So let's take a little ride in the Wayback Machine. Some of you may remember this, but many of you may not remember this particular ad campaign. In fact, that was the name of the campaign, You Will. This was an AT&T marketing campaign launched in 1993, and that was just a year after our organization was formed. Each of these commercials presented in this campaign featured a futuristic scenario, beginning with "Have you ever?" and ending with "you will," and the company that will bring it to you, AT&T. So the things that these ads showed us as possibilities back in 1993 were truly mind-blowing. The award-winning ads were narrated by actor Tom Selleck. So I want you to take a look at 3 of them.
Have you ever borrowed a book from thousands of miles away, across the country,
Gesture ahead. Take next exit.
without stopping for directions,
Route 101.
or sent someone a fax? From the beach, you will. And the company that'll bring it to you, AT&T. Have you ever paid a toll without slowing down? Bought concert tickets from a cash machine?
Yeah, perfect.
Or tucked your baby in from a phone booth? You will. And the company that'll bring it to you, AT&T. Have you ever opened doors
I'm home.
with the sound of your voice? Our card, please. Carried your medical history in your wallet.
Your wife's gonna be just fine.
So this is where we stand on the atrium.
Or attended a meeting
I really like what you guys have been doing, but
in your bare feet.
I may have a few other ideas.
You will. And the company that'll bring it to you, AT&T.
Now, isn't that funny? You know what? So close on so much of what they predicted. But they did have just a few misimaginings. But thankfully, none of us have ever had to tuck our child in from a payphone, assuming many of you in the audience even know what a payphone is. But keep in mind, as I said, this is 1993. Bill Clinton was recently elected as the president, and the new kids on the block hadn't even broken up yet. And most Americans didn't have a cell phone. Viewers back then watching these commercials had to be saying, "No way, no way." Technology writer Timothy Lee notes that overall the ads were remarkably accurate in what they were predicting in these cutting-edge technologies that would come in the coming decades. But the ads were mostly wrong about one thing. The company that brought them to us was not AT&T. At least not on its own. Most of the gadgets and the software were ultimately created by Silicon Valley companies that didn't even exist at that time. Now, I can't help but see our own industry reflected in this campaign. 20 years ago at that first conference, none of us knew what we were capable of, as an industry or as an organization. But we had imagination, and we had aspirations, and we turned those into a vision. Just like the technology imagined in the You Will campaign, we have continually evolved as an organization and as a clean fuels industry, and we have adapted with the times. And most importantly, we have never let the naysayers hold us back. Have you ever powered one of the largest cruise lines in the world with biodiesel? You will. Have you ever sustainably fueled a jetliner from London to New York? You will. And have you ever fueled a train 100 cars long from coast to coast? You will. Today, our industry's vision is to use the use of our fuels will exceed 6 billion gallons by 2030. And with advancements in feedstock, we will reach 15 billion gallons by 2050. And now, for the first time, it feels like the world is ready to meet us in that vision. Because companies have realized they have to adapt and evolve too. Also, that they have a critical role in leading others to a more sustainable practices in support of our planet. And our paths have finally crossed in the way that we always hoped that they would. Corporate decarbonization goals are ruling the day and driving demand. Governments and major Fortune 500 companies have looked at us and really seen us for what we are, an immediate low-carbon solution that works with the existing infrastructure. We offer decarbonization with fuels that are better, cleaner, now. The heavy-duty markets that we enjoy offer our fuel producers a lot of demand opportunity. The on-road diesel market is about 45 billion gallons a year. But the rail, marine, and the bioheat markets are turning to biodiesel and renewable diesel to reach their carbon reduction goals, and they also represent phenomenal opportunity. The rail market represents about 4 billion gallons of opportunity. The bioheat market, another 4 billion gallons. And the marine market, just in the United States alone, that's another 7 billion gallons. Now, it is also true that consumer demand is changing as well. Today's consumers and investors expect companies to be committed to carbon reduction, and they are holding these companies accountable. Decarbonization accountability is a brave new world indeed, and it's one that we fit right in. All of those years of toil to build this industry from zero, largely funded by the soybean farmers who shared our vision. All of those years of tireless effort to improve our fuels through the ASTM standard setting process, working with automakers through state and federal policy and raising public awareness, have finally revealed biomass-based diesel to be the rock star that we always knew it was. Now, for those of you like me who have been in this industry for a decade or maybe two, we know it is never easy. We've never, as an industry, really enjoyed an extended period of tailwinds. We are not without challenges. And believe me, I recognize this. We are facing a serious headwind right now with the low RVO set by the EPA as part of the renewable fuel standard. I see the recent downturn and the impact that these low RVOs have had on our producers. But please, do not despair. We have faced this and arguably worse before, and we've come out on top. And that belief, the belief that things will get better, that the market will right itself, I think is a very, very important ideal for all of us. Negativity fuels negativity, and challenges will always be a part of our industry. So I would encourage us, let's take a look at things through a little more optimistic lens. For one thing, there is growth in the RVOs in 2024 and in 2025. And we prospectively know what those volumes are. And that was not the case last year when the EPA didn't finalize last year's volumes until June, when the year was already half over. Those of you that know me know that I'm a strong believer in the marketplace. I believe it will always adjust and settle itself. For instance, we have seen an increase in exports of renewable diesel over the last several months as the market responds to lower RVOs. And if that continues, that should provide us some help and relief with RIN values. Now, markets almost always tend to right themselves. And in our case, the market has to right itself because the demand for our low-carbon fuels is so high. Markets tend to pay the most attention when there is growing demand and growing supply. And why is that? It's because opportunity exists in the marketplace under those conditions. As an industry, we should take a position of confidence and optimism. We should focus on the opportunities, some that might be extremely hard to see at this moment. Our challenge, as always, is to see the changing market dynamics and to respond with the appropriate adjustments to our businesses. Now is not the time to hunker down and wish for the good old days. These can be the good new days. There is a bounty of market opportunities due to these unprecedented carbon reduction goals. And we as an industry must lean into those. We must embrace the marketing of our fuels as cleaner and better than diesel, and not just as a diesel replacement or an arbitrage fuel. We haven't historically built awareness of our fuels around their carbon reduction value. But the good news is the marketplace today will welcome that message with open arms. And that simply would not have been the case 5 years ago. This move will take fuel producers seeking markets and customers that value their fuel for more than just the economics. Customers in the rail, the marine, bioheat markets, they are eager to find fuel supplier partners as we speak. Economics have, and they always will, come and go for our producers. But the carbon reduction value of our fuels will never go away. In fact, we expect that to get even better in the coming years. The demand is there and growing. So we have to understand what the true value of our fuels are, and we have to market them accordingly. Because we don't want to risk giving away our own imaginings like AT&T did. So let's take a look at a few of our accomplishments in 2023. Later today, you'll hear from Kurt Kovarik, our Vice President of Federal Affairs. But let me start with the federal side of things and hit a few of the highlights. The extension of the trade remedies involving Argentina and Indonesia were vitally important to our domestic industry for biodiesel and renewable diesel. We all remember the negative impact that those unfairly traded imports, it was over 800 million gallons a year at its height, had on domestic biodiesel beginning about a decade ago. The National Biodiesel Board led the original fight back in 2017, and our victory then leveled the playing field. It returned those hundreds of millions of gallons of demand to our domestic producers. Now, Clean Fuels again led the charge to see that original 2018 ruling extended. And I'm happy to say that we were successful and that those duties have been extended for another 5 years. Now, our technical work continues to be nationally and internationally recognized. In fact, in 2023, our biodiesel specification, D6751, was recognized as one of the top most influential standards ever produced by ASTM. And ASTM is over 130 years old. Now, that's pretty amazing. Then in December, our own technical director, Scott Fenwick, right there in the front row, was awarded the prestigious Sidney D. Andrews Scroll of Achievement by ASTM International in recognition of his contributions. Another huge success, this time at the state policy level. The fuel market demand for our fuels, created by WINS in the California's low carbon fuel standard, are off the charts. Now get this, today there is more biodiesel and renewable diesel being consumed in California than diesel fuel. CARB's most recent data says our fuels now make up over 60% of the entire diesel pool. Have you ever overtaken petroleum diesel in the California fuel market? You will, and actually, you are. Pretty remarkable, pretty outstanding. And most there expect that our fuels will be nearly 100% of the diesel pool in the next few years. And if you will allow me to, and I think it's fair to point this out, it did not just happen. Clean Fuels Alliance America has had a direct role in this. Our state affairs program, led by Shelby Neal for over a dozen years, laid the groundwork. Following Shelby was the tireless work of our recently retired Director of State Governmental Affairs, Floyd Vergara. Now, Floyd apparently can't sit still for very long. He just retired last fall because he's here with us this week. So let's give him a hand, please. Floyd was an exceptional hire for us for many reasons, but partly because We hired him away from the agency that wrote the low carbon fuel standard. And in all actuality, Floyd pretty much wrote the LCFS. And that's when he, as I would say, quote, drank the Kool-Aid, right? He saw how big of an impact biodiesel and renewable diesel could have on their market immediately. He became a believer, and we're so grateful that he chose to finish his remarkable career fighting alongside of us. Now, you'll definitely want to catch his session tomorrow on the next generation of the LCFS. And speaking of the next generation, we are pleased to promote Jeff Earl to follow Floyd in the position of the Director of State Governmental Affairs. So let's give Jeff a hand. I am confident Jeff will continue the streak of outstanding performance and work for us in state affairs. And we expect to see growing demand driven by our fuels by state policies. And we're also thrilled to have hired Corey Ann Wind, who managed Oregon's Clean Fuels program for 3 decades. She joins Jeff's team as the lead on our West Coast operations. Now, Corey Ann has spoken at this event in the past, but this week, she's officially here as one of us. So please, let's make her feel welcome. I truly wish I had the time to mention everyone by name, but I want you to just know that in your trade association, you have got an incredible team fighting for you. If you are not a member of Clean Fuels, I would urge you to join. We can't do it without you, and we can't do it without the commitment and the leadership of all of the players in our industry. Our membership is the most diverse it has ever been. Each of our members views things from a slightly different vantage point. A bigger tent, in my opinion, brings in more voices, and that brings us strength. If we commit to working together, if we commit to connected energy. So as I close, I'm going to appeal to you, to your sense of resourcefulness and your sense, the ability to pivot when change is needed. Evolution has been required of our producers from the very beginning. And they are still here today producing because they rolled up their sleeves, they went to work, and they found solutions without dwelling on the obstacles. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that from some of our biodiesel company leaders in this afternoon's panel, Bullish on Biodiesel. In my opinion, there's a lot of reasons that we remain bullish. And we must keep that spirit of resilience that we've always had. This week, we have so much incredible content and so many fantastic speakers. To me, it might be one of our best conferences ever. You're going to want to hear what these speakers have to say, so please use this time to learn from our guest experts and our incredible staff in addition to connecting. And so with that, I would like to leave you with this thought. Have you ever made a true difference in the world? You are. Thank you.